All right. Good morning. My name is Joe Russo. I'm the Executive Director of the Palm Beach Tech Association, and I'm here with John Studdard, the COO of the Achieve Agency. And this is a weekly video that we do called Made in PBC Spotlight. We were doing these a couple weeks ago, and we're just getting restarted with a little bit of a re-identity, so to say. But John is here because he's built a few companies here in PBC, and now works as the COO of our neighbors upstairs here at 313 Detour, the Achieve Agency. So welcome, John. It's been about 3 years' journey for us here in technology and startups here in the Palm Beaches. But I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about how you got started, because you're a little bit older than myself.
Just a little bit.
You've been around here for a little bit longer. And tell us your history of building tech companies here in the Palm Beaches.
Yes, I've been bebopping around town for a number of years now. Started back here in the mid-90s doing some consulting. Had my first office right above where Pescatories and, well, I guess it was Bar Louie in that building back in the mid-90s. My former partner and I were the first guys to sit at Big City when Big City opened, where Rocco's Tacos is now.
Going really back in the restaurant history.
That is, yeah. So we've seen Clematis, the renaissance of Clematis in downtown, really firsthand. Ran a software company downtown in the mid '90s, and then in '99 I joined up with a few of my banking buddies, and we started a bank called virtualbank.com up on PGA, and did that for about 6 years. It was really kind of the best time since mankind to be in the mortgage business back then, and also we were riding the internet wave. So virtualbank.com, which eventually became Lydian Trust and Lydian Private Bank. Left there in 2005 to go on to some new internet adventures. Joined up with some guys, an e-commerce company called Baby Universe. So I went from private banking and deposit accounts to strollers and car seats. So we took Baby Universe public back in 2005, and ultimately sold that in 2007 to eToys, and then started a small consulting firm with a partner out of Baby Universe, Georgianne Brown. We started a little venture called Big Couch Media Group, and so we became a full-service digital agency down here. All these ventures kind of were in the Palm Beach County area, and then ultimately Big Couch evolved into a full-service agency of contract laborers who specialize in Drupal development, WordPress development, and also do all the normal digital marketing things, SEO and SEM and whatnot. And then ultimately Big Couch merged with Forte Interactive last summer, and we're now upstairs, and now we're trying to Achieve Agency is a full-service agency for causes. So most of our clientele are nonprofits or cause-related companies. So it's nice. I get out of bed every morning to help our clients change the world.
Yeah, and speak of, you have a nickname of sorts when it comes to web development. If you want to let the world in on that.
I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
Drupal John.
Oh, Drupal John. Yeah. So we're at Big Couch and now at Achieve. We're our primary tool or technology we build our solutions on is the Drupal platform. We're actually just about to relaunch the Palm Beach Drupal meetups, sponsored by Achieve here at Palm Beach Tech, starting on November 15th. We're going to resurrect the Palm Beach Drupal meetups as part of the Entrepreneurial Week festivities. So we're going to be at 7 p.m. here in the tech space. So any Drupal folks out there, we'd want to see you on November 15th here at 7.
And just for the sake of it, why don't you give a quick one-liner on what Drupal is for those that don't know?
So Drupal is, I like to call it, most people are familiar with WordPress. So Drupal is an open source content management platform, but it's a little bit different than WordPress. I always kind of refer to it as WordPress on steroids. So Drupal gives you quite a bit more features and functionality, and is kind of an enterprise scale open source platform. We do some WordPress stuff as well. WordPress has its place. It's great for getting sites up quick. We use it for kind of our perishable marketing sites. But anything that of any significance, we typically will build on Drupal. So Drupal is Drupal 8. The latest generation of it is they call it the developers CMS, because it's a little more sophisticated, a little more powerful. And when picking our tool set, that's what we chose.
Awesome. And I'm assuming you guys are hiring too, if there's anybody out there in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, we've been growing our team here, our CMS team. Forte has had a long run with a proprietary platform, their trusted partner platform, which was built on Cold Fusion and .NET. And now our latest generation of trusted partner is built as a custom distribution of Drupal 8. So we're always looking for talented Drupal folks down here in South Florida.
Somebody just commented heart Drupal on
sweet.
our video.
All right.
Steven Spencer.
There you
Shout
go.
out. So, another thing we actually have coming up this weekend is Startup Weekend. Which is something very unique with us, because that's how John and I actually met. We were both part of the YoApp team.
The YoApp team.
Back like 3 years ago, I think it is now.
Yeah, no, it's got to be longer than that. It's either 3 or 4 years. So
I don't know. When you're young like I am, yours seem a little more compact. But
yeah,
just
I'm keeping track of every year now. So,
but just to kind of lay the foundation here, it was a team of myself, John, Gabriel Goldstein from Inity Engineering, Aaron Warmis, who's the CTO of Hedgeco Best, Hedgeco
better
Norms.
known as a guy in Clematis.
That guy. But we built an app that could better help you order beer at your local watering hole. It was something maybe not as practical as most of the other apps and things that came out of it, but we had a good time nonetheless.
It was a good time. It was a great learning experience. I think, Aaron clearly showed up at pitch night on Friday night to get some kind of project into the...
He had no idea what he was going to pitch.
He completely made it up, and the rest of
In
us...
line 2 minutes before.
The rust of us were all kind of there. I went there to just kind of check it out and see what was going on. And then Aaron got up and pitched, and he made the top, I forget how many, there were 10 or 20.
There's like a dozen companies.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
If you go to Startup Weekend, anybody can pitch an idea. You can pitch an idea for, Internet of Thing garden gnomes, maybe. There's a $1 million idea for you. But, it's whatever. And then Aaron came up with this silly idea about like 2 minutes before he actually pitched it, and then there we go, we were off.
And then we were all compelled to go see if we could get on his team, and it turned into probably one of my most fun weekends I've ever had.
It turned into an hour and a half of market research that night, which was
Yeah.
basically us at Bar Louie. But it was a good time, and that I kind of put as a preamble to how Palm Beach Tech wound up getting together.
I think we could take some credit for that weekend being the genesis behind where Palm Beach Tech is now. That was part of the Palm Beach startup crew of Chris and Mr. Manaki, and then the offshoot of that, the second generation of that effort has really become what Palm Beach Tech is, and so that momentum that started from that weekend continues on now in the downtown space, and to kind of look back where we are today from where we were 3-4 years ago, there's definitely some momentum. There's definitely a community now. And it's pretty cool to have, I feel lucky because our offices are upstairs, so I get to kind of see this firsthand every day. Besides, unfortunately, running into you most of the time. It is actually a good...
Painful.
So, but no, it's been a good run so far, and I think we, as being on the board with the Palm Beach Tech Association, seeing the continued momentum behind it, it's the real deal now.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that, on top of that, we like to talk about is just some of the other stuff that's going on in the Palm Beaches any week were on this show. And a couple of the things that kind of shout out to me was, one, I read an article yesterday about Scott Adams, who I'm not sure if you know, but he has
Highway Technologies.
he has a company called EagleEye Intelligence. They were one of the first FAU Tech Runway companies.
Yeah, Scott Adams is the Highway Technologies, which was the big ISP back when I was in the ISP business. Lightspeed Technologies, Highway. They were the 600-pound gorilla down here, and ultimately sold out to a number of I think into NTT Data.
Yeah.
And Vireo. They sold into Vireo and then became NTT, and now Scott's been doing lots of stuff around town since those days.
And I actually, I got to see his technology up close and personal. He does a lot of drone technology. So during Hurricane Irma, he sent his teams down to Marathon in Monroe County, where I was at the same time, and they were doing drone reconnaissance of the entire Florida Keys. And this is what this company does. They can take their drones, their software, their technology, and go anywhere in disaster situations, in large event situations, so they can go out to Sunfest, put their drones up, and get real-time actionable awareness of what's going on. And there's a nice article in the Sun Sentinel about Scott and his company. They've raised almost $10 million so far down here in South Florida.
Well, drones are a huge thing. A good buddy of mine just got his drone license through the FAA. There is quite a bit of work in that area going on from a regulatory perspective with the FAA and getting people licensed in the commercial side of it. Besides the 10-year-old kid who gets it for Christmas, who's buzzing his neighbors, there is actually quite a bit of significant business development going around that industry right now. And South Florida, actually, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in the islands as well for drone, for tourism, and there's land surveying going on.
I mean, just the fact that they're able to use this in not just for the kind of the basic day-to-day type of operations, but they can go into any disaster situation, literally the worst situations that we can think of, as opposed to just like, now we see drones and we see like the video that comes out of them. Well, this is more or less like, okay, worst situation possible, you need this type of resource to come in and help, and they're fitted for that type of situation.
Well, great example in the disaster scenarios, they can get into spots almost immediately. I'm a private pilot or commercial pilot, and we were trying to get some relief flights into the Keys, and they had closed Marathon and Key West, which were the two public airports, for days. So there was a bunch of pilots that were getting permission to fly into the private into the private airfields to circumvent the stuff that was going on. And
I was actually down there with another tech company called Virtual Badge, which is based here in West Palm. And we're actually based out of the Marathon Airport. I slept on the airfield one night, actually, which is probably why you didn't have the. But they knew I was there, so they didn't want you to come.
It was literally about 4 or 5 days before general aviation flights could get into Marathon and Key West. So we were flying into Sutherland Key and one other private airfield down there.
Well, one other thing I wanted to bring up too. There was an article in VentureBeat. It was written by the founder of Thumbtack, which is an online website company, and he was talking the other day about the importance of the local governments, local community, and supporting not only the large type of tech companies like the Amazon.coms of the world to try and come into your neck of the woods, right? More or less the recruiting in corporate headquarters, but also the importance of supporting local startups. And you've had a number of startup companies that you've worked with. Achieve, its predecessor as well, Forte was a startup. But can you speak to that and like how you guys were able to get the ball rolling and the resources or lack thereof that were at your disposal at any one time?
Well, really, most of the startups I've been involved in have been pretty much roll up your sleeves. It's friends and family kind of money, 401k investment, or depletion, however you want to put it. That is one of the areas that has been a challenge. It's almost kind of ironic with the amount of money that is in this area in South Florida that the funding of startups has been such a challenge. Most of the people who actually get it done down in South Florida, I think, are doing it pretty much just by brute force. And so there's been, over the last few years, there's been an increase in exposure through the the FAU Runway program, the Hive down in Miami. There's a number of these incubator type operations that have really started to help. Startup Palm Beach, the Palm Beach Tech Association now in tech space. So there is some momentum behind this stuff, and it really, the challenge has been getting that disconnect between entrepreneurial companies and startup companies and the VCs and the venture guys who are actually here in town.
And you know, to that point as well, I mean, really before FAU Tech Runway, there's very limited ability for a company locally to come in and get started. You just had to know the network. And that's one of the things that Palm Beach Tech tries to do. Beyond that is leverage our community, leverage our network as much as we can to support these companies.
Yeah, I think the network didn't really exist for local stuff. Guys who had money here were dealing in DC and Chicago and Silicon Valley. That's where they saw the opportunities. And as we've gotten some traction here with organizations like Palm Beach Tech, we're bridging that gap.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, things will keep on the up and ups for Achieve. Hopefully, you can find one or two more Drupal developers, and maybe we have another Yo app come out of the startup weekend this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely.
But thank you, John, very much for your time and for being here.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for having me.
Keep on doing all the good work, man.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for tuning in, everybody, and I hope you have a great rest of your Monday.
See you guys.